These are the top 10 craziest knockouts in MMA history.
Smiling. Take a chance and risk getting knocked out.
And first up, the knockout came from the underdog at UFC 162, Chris Weidman versus Anderson Silva. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Weidman was never even supposed to be in the ring with Silva. He was just the underdog, a last resort after every other option fell through. Big names like Bisping, Rockhold, and Evans were out of the picture. Meanwhile, Silva was still in the Matrix. Fans had never seen a more spectacular and entertaining fighter. Dude was an absolute assassin, finishing everyone in his path. But then came his fight with Chris Weidman. Most people thought Weidman would only land a few strikes at best since his real strength was in jiu-jitsu, but absolutely no one expected him to knock Anderson out on the feet. Weidman's back fist looked like nothing, but it was everything. Silva didn't expect that back fist coming, but it threw off Silva's concentration just long enough for Weidman to deliver the perfect knockout left hook.
Anderson. Oh my, he got hit! Look at the finish it! It is all over! Chris Weidman is the UFC middleweight champion!
It was shocking to see Silva on the ground. Like just a few moments before this, he was showboating on Weidman, and now he was unconsciously grappling the referee. The craziest part is Silva even broke his leg in the same fight. Oof! It hurts seeing a legend struggle like that, but at least he didn't end up like Sean Salmon. Because Rashad Evans versus Sean Salmon was the most ironic knockout. Certainly because Salmon had already won the first round by scoring multiple takedowns. For the first few minutes, it looked like Rashad was getting schooled in wrestling by Salmon. But then in round 2, Rashad turned the tables, dude made a much needed comeback with a head kick knockout.
Unbelievable. Wow.
It was certainly the most brutal thud of the night, because Salmon remained motionless for several minutes. His condition was so critical that he was eventually carried out on a stretcher to a local hospital. Someone who walked a similar path is Jose Aldo. Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo at UFC 194 has to be the most precise knockout I have ever seen. The fight already had an intense buildup due to all the trash talk and sledding from Conor's end.
Look into my eyes, little man. Little Brazilian. Ooh, vamos here.
However, Conor backed up his words in the octagon. Just 13 seconds into the fight, he knocked Aldo out with a precise left hook.
Great. Black trunks for the champion, Jose Aldo Jr. Conor relaxed and smiling. Oh! He slapped him! Conor is the new UFC!
Trust me, this was one of the greatest moments in MMA history because Conor had done his homework. He had practiced everything from the shot to how Aldo would react. This was truly the smartest time play in UFC, which cannot be said about Anderson Silva. Because the way Silva knocked out Vitor Belfort at UFC 126 is beyond human perception. The stakes were already high for their fight. Because both the fighters were seasoned, fans were expecting a tough match, but nobody knew Silva would end it in the first round. Just 2 minutes into the fight, Silva started to open up with his striking moves. His rapid movement allowed Belfort to take him to the ground for a split second, but Silva fought back and KO'd Belfort with a striking face kick.
Left hand. Outstanding head movement by Anderson. Like we said, second to none. Oh! He kicked him in the face! Absolutely right. Trying to finish.
Just like that, the fight was over and Silva remained in his prime, unlike Bisping at UFC 100. Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping at UFC 100 was one of the most intense fights. Bisping had already gotten under Henderson's skin with his trash talk, but Henderson chose to settle it in the octagon. In the second round, he unleashed a massive right hand that knocked Bisping out cold.
That's all! He's down! And it is all over! Dan Henderson has knocked out Michael Bisping!
Look at that. He even followed up with a forearm strike before the referee intervened. Henderson later said this move was only to shut Bisping up. The crazy thing is, Henderson named this right-handed punch an H-bomb shot and got it printed as his logo. Dude completely shattered Bisping's ego. Now I understand why he is the most iconic MMA fighter. And with that, we've made it to the top 5, so only the craziest knockouts from here. Just wait until we get to the top 3. At UFC 72,007, Mirko Cro Cop was in his prime time. He was famous for his devastating head kicks and the right leg hospital, left leg cemetery phrase, and fans were super excited to see him dominating Gonzaga. But that fight taught MMA fans to expect the unexpected. In a shocking twist of legs and fate, Gonzaga landed a brutal first-round head kick, knocking Mirko out cold and leaving the crowd in total disbelief. Next up on the list is Edson Barboza versus Terry Etim at UFC 142. This fight was expected to be a striking showcase of high kicks because Barboza is known as the most vicious kicker UFC has ever had. While fans were expecting a quick knockout by Barboza, he took his time until round 3 and then delivered a spinning wheel kick that hit Etim's jaw like a truck. The kick might have caused brain damage to Etim, cause ain't no way you can function fully after getting kicked by Barboza. And with that, we've made it to the top 3 of the craziest knockouts in MMA history. It would be unfair to the list if I don't make the honorable mention of Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. At UFC 296, Josh knocked Bryce out with a hard-hitting punch. The moment Bryce moved forward to reach Josh, he quickly caught him with one of his most powerful punches. That punch knocked Bryce into a higher dimension where the higher laws of truth were revealed to him. He literally had seizures on the mat. Man, it scared the hell out of everybody in that crowd. That one-shot KO made Josh the real hardest-hitting 145-pounder. But the way Topuria knocked out Max Holloway, I think we might have a tie between Josh and Topuria. At UFC 308, Topuria outshined Max Holloway, the same guy who had the record for most strikes in a fight, yet he got knocked out by Topuria, who is probably the first guy to put Max Holloway on the ground. In round 3, Topuria landed a huge overhand right to Rock Holloway and quickly rushed in to land more heavy blows.
Right now for Topuria.
Holloway then ate a massive left hook, and even his granite chin couldn't withstand that.
Massive knockdown for Topuria.
Those back-to-back punches sidelined Holloway for several weeks. But our number 1 craziest knockout almost ended someone's career. Getting knocked out in 5 seconds is brutal for any fighter, and at UFC 239, Ben Askren took that shame against Jorge Masvidal. This fight was highly anticipated. Askren's confidence had fans expecting a grappling showcase, but just 5 seconds in, Masvidal knocked him out with a flying knee, setting the record for the fastest knockout in UFC history.
One of the greatest knockouts you'll ever see!
God damn, he didn't just knock him out, he shut down an entire era of Askren's hype in 5 seconds. One flying knee and boom, you are gone. That's just ridiculous, man, and so are these moments.